Okay, you all. Thank you so much for being here. We are going to go ahead and get started with our second session of our six-part Khaimah Art Speaker Series. So excited. Today's session is entitled Mindful Mobility, Exploring the Transformative Potential of Travel. And this session will be focusing on the surge of travel rates in Ras Al Khaimah and the wider UAE in what we're describing a semi-post-pandemic era. And our featured panelists are coming from various walks of life. Each of them will be discussing the booming tourism trends in the region, while also pondering what it means to be a mindful traveler during one's search for a magical experience. So I'm your moderator, Dr. Tiffany Michelle Smith. I'm the Grants and Partnership Manager at the Al Qasimi Foundation for Policy Research. And please let me introduce our panel today. So we have Haley Skirka, who is the Deputy Travel Editor at the National UAE. She's also the Dubai local for Lonely Planet and a media member of the Adventure Travel Trade Association. Since 2018, she's contributed to adventure travel and responsible tourism by uncovering unique story angles, exploring new destinations, reviewing hotels, and gathering real-world tips to share with the National's readers. I want to be her when I grow up, you all, just in case you're wondering. Please welcome Haley with a round of applause. All right, and next on our panel, we have Andrew, Andy, Tarika. I got it. He's been a travel writer and photographer since 1990. His stories and photos have been published in newspapers and magazines worldwide. And his most recent trips were fly fishing in Tanzania, however you pronounce it, exploring the deserts of Oman, and eating tacos in San Antonio. San Antonio, Texas?
Yes.
Texas. Oh, hey. Please welcome Andy. And last but not least is Raisa Kanziza, who is the Media and Communications Consultant for Great Lakes Outreach Flow in Bujumbura. I got it. Bujumbura City in Burundi, a country known as the heart of Africa. Raisa is responsible for gathering news and stories from Glow's strategic partners while overseeing content dissemination. Please give her a round of applause as well. All right, so let's get into our conversation today. While I was doing a little bit of research on all of the panelists, I found this amazing quote that I want to use to kind of set the stage for our conversation today. So, while I was researching Haley, I went into an article, and it's a quote from Carlo, help me please, Olin Jezak, who is the Vice President and Managing Director of Booking.com. I know many of us are familiar with Booking.com. Europe, Middle East, and Africa. Okay, so his quote is, "Travel can be a force for good, and travelers themselves are proving to be today's change makers, adopting more sustainable travel habits and seeking responsible experiences. More sustainable travel is an investment for the world, and we are committed to making it easier for everyone to experience travel in a more mindful and responsible way, no matter where they are on their sustainable journey." So I think this is an amazing quote to start our conversation. And Haley, I'm coming to you with our first question. Considering your expertise in adventure travel and responsible tourism, compared with conventional travel, how do you perceive the UAE, specifically Ras Al Khaimah, offering of transformative travel experiences?
I think
the main difference between adventure travelers and conventional travelers is that both can have transformative experiences, but adventure travelers, they are seeking a transformative experience as the number one reason or the number one motivation for booking their trip. Whereas many other travelers, they have a transformative experience on their trip, but it's a byproduct of the overall holiday. So I think that's quite an important distinction to make. And in Khaimah, the Emirate has done an amazing job of positioning itself as the adventure capital of the UAE. I think if you want adventure and you're coming to the UAE, you're coming to Ras. It has the beautiful Hajar Mountains, coastlines, and all of the activities, and it really has cemented itself as the, like I say, the capital of adventure. One of the really cool offerings, I don't know if you can hear me with the wind, okay, I'll speak a little louder. One of the really cool offerings that opened a few years ago was the Highlander experience in Khaimah. That's a long distance hike through the mountains over 3 days. And if you've never done a long distance hike before and you sign up to do Highlander, I can guarantee you'll have a transformative experience. From before you even go, when you're packing your things, you know you're carrying all of your things with you for 3 days, so you're packing mindfully before you've even left the house. And then when you're on the trip, you're going to create meaningful bonds with people who are going through the same experiences, the same challenges as you at the same time. You're going to gain a new respect for the guides who are showing you where to go, where to set up camp. We can read the weather. It's a whole new world, and you're going to come home and you're definitely going to remember that for a while. And one other thing, I remember the Bear Grylls Explorer Camp opened a few years ago, and at the National we're lucky enough that when things like this happen, they come to us and they say, would you like to come and try it and write about it? So I sent one of my colleagues to review the Bear Grylls Explorer Camp, and she came back very wide-eyed. I think she was expecting like a UAE version of the Bear Grylls Explorer Camp. If you don't know Bear Grylls, he's the extreme survival explorer. So she was a little bit shocked by the hard bunk beds or the sleeping outside and the extreme survival skills that she was supposed to learn while she was there. But again, she said it was something that would stick with her. She'd remember it, and it had changed her, not least because she now knows how to build a fire in the middle of nowhere. But she just had this amazing experience that she maybe didn't expect to get on an adventure in Khaimah, but the opportunities are out there. And yeah, I think it is adventure capital.
Yeah, I love that. I love the beautiful way that you talk about Ras Khaimah. And it sounds to me, I guess even thinking about it, adventure versus transformative, maybe it's a fusion, right? Because what should be adventure is oftentimes a transformative experience for that person.
Yeah, I think so. I think adventure travel and transformative experiences go hand in hand. And responsible tourists as well. I mean, if you have the option to be a more responsible tourist, then that eases the burden that so many travelers have that they are causing this carbon footprint or that they are having a negative impact, and allows them just to be more in the moment and enjoying what they're actually there for.
Exactly. You started to talk about mindful travel. I love it, and we're going to come back to it. But Andy, I'm coming over to you. As someone deeply immersed in travel and photography, do you think sharing visual documentaries of your experiences are better for inspiring people to seek transformative journeys for themselves?
I definitely feel that. I'm a perfect example of that. I mean, when I was a little kid, my parents, we had in our house stacks of National Geographic magazine, and I would spend literally hours upon hours looking at these magazines, mostly the photos. And I just started dreaming of going to these places. I can still in my mind see these photos. And I wound up going to a lot of these places. So, I feel like I'm an example of someone who was really inspired by photographs, and it literally changed my life. So I do believe that when you see trips documented visually, it can inspire you to do the same. And now in my life, I try and express my curiosity about the world through my photographs and my writing. And I would like to think that it would inspire some people to go to these places. Definitely it's not for everybody. The kind of places I personally like to go to are really off the beaten path. I love going to places that nobody's ever heard of. That's in the United States, a lot of people are like, like last year I went to Oman, and I went back to the US and people were like, Oman, where is that?
Right, exactly.
But then when they saw my photos, they were like, wow, this is an incredible place. Next week I'm going to Gabon next week in West Africa. So, I mean, and that's what travel is all about, right? It's like discovering and a sense of discovery and curiosity. And I definitely believe that if you document this stuff visually and share it with the world, share it with your friends, you can educate and inspire and encourage people to do the same.
Absolutely. I want to have just a quick follow-up because you're talking about photography and how you document your travels through photography. Do you engage with video at all? And if so, does that change the experience from the travel?
I don't do so much video.
Okay.
A little bit. I've experimented. I'm just starting to kind of experiment with that.
Okay.
So
So your tool is the camera.
my tool is my pen and my camera.
The pen and the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, to me, those go hand in hand.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. Raika, we're coming to you. So let's talk about Burundi. Now, this is a two-part question. We're going to start. Tell us a little bit about your country.
Can you hear me? Yes.
Yes.
So Burundi, most of the time people don't even recognize it. Whenever they say what's Burundi, it's a small country with people with huge hearts. I'll let you know later. But it's located in the eastern and central part of Africa. And it's also known as the heart of Africa because of its shape. Sometimes we debate with Rwanda which one is the heart of Africa, but it's Burundi. I'm making it official. It's densely, it has a lot of population, 12 million currently, and also has beautiful weather, tropical weather, almost similar to this. Yeah, that's Burundi.
Yeah. And if you haven't had a chance to visit the shop, this is where I saw the image of Burundi, the shape of image. And it's not the shape part, it's literally the heart.
The heart shape, yeah, that's how it's
Yeah, I thought that was so amazing. I looked, I said, oh wow, it does look like a heart. Okay, so following up on this first question, just to give a little context of Burundi, unfortunately, truly unfortunately, when tourists arrive to Burundi, oftentimes they either have very little knowledge about the country, or they've spent time collecting negative stereotypes discussed on the internet. So share with us how missionary work and welcoming tourists has positively impacted shifting the narrative about Burundi.
As I said, unfortunately, that's how my country is known, which is true. A little bit of history, we had a 10-year civil war that ended in 2005. Then unfortunately, we had another one in 2015, political unrest. So all these built up on the how Burundi was portrayed or is known. But we have my organization called the Great Lakes Outreach. We have an opportunity to receive tourists, and they do mission work with us. That's when they also received Dr. Natasha. That's how I also met her. We work with 25 organizations, local organizations. We work with leaders that are with great vision and also great mission. Most of them want to transform our communities in doing great work. And one of the organizations that we work with is Together for Development. That's why this little bag is here. And also what we are currently wearing. These are products that were made by women who formerly were into vulnerable situations. Most of them were former prostitutes. These are single women they could not afford anything, but now they're able to do this great work because of Together for Development. They train them through vocational skills, and one of it is sewing. They also do shoes, a lot of things. So we are privileged enough to showcase Burundi in another light, where tourists could come and not only have a different perspective of Burundi, but also contribute in the economy of Burundi. So don't miss out the 9th stall. We have more products for you. Yeah.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, so Haley, I'm coming back to you. Let's talk about solo travel. Based on your personal experiences and observations, how do you think solo travel contributes to personal empowerment and self-discovery of women? Women, I'm gonna say that loud, women.
Well, solo travel, I mean, first of all, I'd say if you haven't traveled solo, then do it. Like, it is an amazing experience. I know it's often very, lives are busy, we have family, we have commitment, we have responsibilities. It's hard to say, right, I'm going off on holiday on my own. I'm a new mom, I'm still actually on maternity leave, so I know that families and commitments get in the way. But even if it's just a few days, take yourself somewhere on your own. I'm going to tell you an embarrassing story. You'll probably wonder how I ended up becoming a travel editor, but I'll tell you anyway.
Okay.
So one of my first international trips, I went from the UAE to Thailand with some friends, and then I was meeting some other friends in Vietnam. So I went to Thailand with my friends. They were staying longer. I stayed for a week, and then I flew back to Dubai, flew back to London to meet my friends from the UK, and then took a flight from London to Vietnam. Now, if you don't know, I mean, like I didn't at the time, Thailand and Vietnam are like literally 500 miles apart. So I could have got on a bus in Thailand in the morning and got off in Vietnam that evening, rather than flying halfway around the world. Anyway,
But you get lost to get found.
well, yes. Well, they do say you travel far enough, you find yourself. So. But anyway, my point is, if it had been a solo trip, it wouldn't have happened because I would have had to be doing the research. I would have been making the decisions. I would have been looking at the maps. I would have been deciding where I was going when. Instead, I was relying on this group of friends, and just going along with it. Thankfully, my geographical skills have improved a lot since then. And yeah, solo travel, I think it's so empowering for everyone, but especially for women. And women are actually more likely to travel solo than men, statistics show. And that's great because, yeah. But women, we make decisions every day in our life, but we often tend to make our decisions based on what other people want. We're trying to balance the needs of everyone. Whereas if you're on a trip by yourself, you're making every decision and you're making it for yourself. From silly things like where you're going to have lunch, where you'll watch the sunrise, to whether you're going to go on this adventure, who you're going to chat to. You have it's all up to you, and that's empowering. And I think it also makes you a bit more resourceful. Again, like problem solving, it's all down to you, whether it's navigating a city's complicated metro system, or trying to communicate in a language you don't know, you have to do the problem solving. And that's traditionally something that a lot of men like to do. They like to solve the problem.
Right.
But if you're a woman traveling on your own, you have to do it. And that it does make you more resourceful for sure. And then the other amazing thing about solo travel is and you'll probably agree with this, I hope, is the connections that you make when you're traveling on your own. Like, if you're traveling with friends and family, yes, you're seeing a new place, but you're seeing it through a different lens than if you're traveling on your own. And personally, I can say that the connections I've made with people when I've been on solo trips are a lot more deeper. And they're people that I'm still friends with today. So I think if you haven't gone solo traveling, book a trip and go somewhere.
Please,
Can I
Annie. Yes. Yes.
I totally agree with you. I know it's different for men and women, but I love solo travel so much, and I feel that when you're by yourself, you're much more likely to meet the locals. If you're with a significant other or friends, it's like you're just gonna be hanging out with your friends. But I travel a lot solo, and I wind up meeting, I think I meet more people, local people, because I'm by myself.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, and I agree. I have friends that I've met, 35 years ago, like in Sulawesi, Indonesia, that we've stayed in touch with. And yeah, I just think you're more like vulnerable when you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And people are more likely to come and talk to you, or even just ask you like, hey, do you need help getting, where are you going? What are you doing here?
That sounds, it's a perfect example of mindful travel. I mean, the ways that Haley, you just described it, and then also, maybe it's vulnerable and available, because it reminds me of my professor's advice when I started solo traveling as well. He basically said that people are more confident to come to you when you're alone,
Yes.
rather than when you're in a big group. So, I mean, that connects back to the mindful travel, it's amazing.
Yep, I'm glad you made that. That's what I was trying to say.
Yeah.
100%.
Don't worry, because I'm coming to you now. More to say. Okay, so Andy, and I rephrased this question just a little bit because it's basically about planned and scripted content versus spontaneous and candid content. But based on your experience, which do you find best for capturing the essence of transformative travel? When it's scripted or when it's just candid and spontaneous?
I would say for me, it's a combination of the two.
Okay.
It's probably more spontaneous, maybe 80% spontaneous, 20% planned.
Okay.
But for me, it's a combination. Before I go on a trip, I do a ton of research. I want to know.
What is research? Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, I want to know where I'm going. I dig into guidebooks. I'm a guidebook fanatic. So, I mean, I have hundreds at home. So I want to know everything about a place before I go. So I know all the different cities, all the different places. I really want to know where I'm going. I look at photos. I also go, I'll go on to like Instagram or just looking at books. I'll have in my mind an idea of the kind of photographs that I want. And then just kind of visualize some of the pictures that I want. And then you go on your trip, and then it's spontaneous. For me, I like to be spontaneous. And I think that lends itself to better photos, better experiences.
Yeah.
But there is some legwork
Yeah.
ahead of time.
Yeah. Okay. See, that's interesting because this conversation is reminding me about when I was a solo traveler. And I was such a spontaneous person that literally the only thing I booked was a flight. I would show up to some countries without a hotel even booked. And I would just allow myself to wander. I don't know if I would do it now, but I mean, you all are reminding me of the traveler that I used to be. But yeah, never researched.
I mean, when I was younger, I did like a year-long backpacking trip over Asia,
Okay.
and I didn't have anything booked at all. I mean, I was like living day to day. I had no idea where I was going. I probably wouldn't do that today. If I was going on a trip like that, I would probably have an idea. I'd book some hotels ahead of time. But I always try and leave space for spontaneity in my trips.
Yeah.
I don't like to have everything planned to a T.
Yeah. But some travelers do, and those travelers I don't want to travel with.
Yeah. But I like to have a framework of where I'm going and what I'm going to do.
Exactly.
But, for example, on this trip, I'm starting here in Khaimah, and then I'm going to Africa for 2 weeks, and then I'm actually coming back here and going to Nepal for a week. So I have a framework on where I'm going, but on a day-to-day basis, I don't know. I'm leaving a lot of room for discovery.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, Bryce, I'm coming back to you. I'm sorry. Nope, we're not ready for that one. I'm going backwards, sorry. Sustainable and mindful travel can have a positive impact on community development. in the context of Burundi, share with us how you engage mindful mobility throughout your travels.
I'll first start by saying, of course, most of you have not heard of Burundi until now, and if you have, that's good. But some of the things, one of the good things about Burundi is it's very traditional-led community. Maybe it's due to its we have 12 million population and almost 400 people per square kilometer. So we have no choice but to love one another. So one of the things when we're traveling, we have to be very mindful of is I'll give you an example of, I like to travel through the community, the country, because that's my work. And I travel by bus. If it's a bus, at least you have to have like 14 people in the car, minimum of 14 people. If it's a small car or 5 people, maybe like 6 people. So you have to be aware of the surroundings. And one of the things is we are very friendly. You cannot get into a bus and just sit there. Everybody will look at you like you are a weird person. You have to greet, and our greeting is Amahoro. That means peace, or peace be upon you. And by that, from that, if it's a 2-hour drive, because of the bumpy roads, if it's a 30 minutes or if it's a 15 minutes, you have to be talking to the person you're sitting next to. So that's one of the things that I myself as a Burundian had to be very mindful of. And another thing is like apart from saying hi to people, you also have to be very kind. Maybe because we have a bubble that is people get to be sensitive of each other. So we are very, very kind to even, let's say, foreigners, of course, but also to, let's say, like policemen that will stop you in the middle of the road. Don't be scared, because the reason why they just want to say hi, they rarely see cars passing by. What else? And also vendors, there will be a lot of vendors in the street. They'll want to sell you something. If you're not gonna buy it, at least say hi to them, or leave. Or we don't need tips. I was telling you about that. We don't need tips. It's an exchange thing. I give you money, you give me whatever products that we have. Most of the time, it's peanuts in the street or like biscuits, stuff like that. So yeah, always be mindful of people around you. And you also, maybe like you're driving, people who are more like, you have to prioritize the pedestrians, you have to stop, and then the ones who are crossing. So this creates something like of being mindful of the people who you are around with. That's one of the biggest things in Burundi, being mindful of each other. Yeah.
I love that.
I want to go to Burundi now.
You're welcome, you're welcome.
I want to go to a place where you go on a bus and people say hi to you when you walk in the bus. That's amazing.
And they tell you everything about your story, yeah. So that's the thing. You have to be conventional, yeah.
I could imagine myself getting on the bus. Hello, everyone. Happy Sunday. And then getting priority seating.
All the women are like that. They will greet each and every person by hand. Wow. And the bus won't start going until she sat down and blessed everyone. That's how it is.
That's amazing.
All the women, of course, we have respect for elderly. We have few of them, so when you see one, she will leave a blessing to you. In the way that I'm blessing you. And that happens very often in buses.
Yeah. Wow, I love it. I know. Okay, so just a quick insert about being mindful of time. We do have one more question, but we want to leave about 10 to 15 minutes for Q&A from the audience. So I have a co-time keeper. So on this last round, if we get too close, we'll go ahead and stop, and then we'll open it up to the audience. So start thinking about if you have questions for our panelists. All right, Haley, so our last question of the night for you.
Yeah.
You consider yourself to be a responsible tourist. I love this. I love the phrase. I'm learning. Which is evident in the work that you do. But for those interested in becoming more mindful and responsible travelers, what advice can you share with the audience about how to start making those small shifts today?
I mean, first of all, looking at mindfulness. Mindfulness is essentially just the ability to be in the moment. So that's something that me, you, everyone here is very capable of doing. It's not something you need to do special courses to learn how to be mindful. You don't need to conjure up. Everybody here can be mindful. That translates very easily into travel. If it's not something you've really thought of before, there are a few things to start with. I'd say the first thing is probably selecting your destination, and this goes into the responsible tourism as well. Look at where you're going, and if it's high season, if the place is going to be overrun with tourists, maybe choose somewhere else. If it's a community that has a high season and a low season, maybe go in the low season where the community might need tourism dollars more than in the high season. If there are low carbon options to get there, if you can take a train instead of flying, maybe you do that. Maybe the train takes 12 hours instead of a 1 hour flight, but I mean, for me anyway, traveling by train is a lot more enjoyable, as well as a lot better for the planet. So start with where you're going. Once you get there, being mindful just means appreciating the place that you're in and being in the moment. So it's all about not running around trying to tick off all the big sites for your bucket list. I mean, I'm not going to say travel to a place and don't go and see the major attractions, because a lot of people, that is what they want to travel for. But maybe pick 1, 2, go see them, but then spend time seeing other things that are off the beaten tourist path. Get to know the locals, eat the local food, spend time there. Don't rush around. The longer you spend in a destination, the more you can get under its skin, and I think that's what mindful travel is all about. Yeah, that'd be my top tips.
I love that. You know, I'm thinking, and this is random but curious. I think it's Booking.com. Have you all booked a hotel recently where the hotels have a sustainability score now? Have you all seen this?
Yeah, they do.
What are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. I don't know how Booking.com come up with those.
Yeah, they
ratings.
score it. Yeah.
But I think giving travelers the information is a great start.
Yeah.
I don't know how legit that information is or where they get it from, but we need to give travelers the information so that they can then make the responsible choice.
Exactly.
And research shows that travelers want to be more sustainable.
Yeah.
What puts them off is often cost is a barrier. You're often paying more to stay in somewhere that says it's responsible. But you don't have to go for the places that shout about being responsible. You can look under the surface, find local places, find little places, and very often they will be the places that's where you should be staying.
Yeah. Wow, thank you. My mind is going. That was not part of the question, but I just wanted to know what you thought about it. Okay, Andy. We have a diverse audience joining us here today, and some are visiting the UAE for the first time, while others have lived in the country for a while. Based on your personal travels, and you said you're coming back, can you share a few gems that you suggest should be experienced while people are traveling and living here?
Sure. Well, personally, I'm very passionate. My main hobby is fishing, and in particular, I'm a fly fisherman, so kind of fishing. And not many people know that Dubai is one of the best places to go fly fishing. As far as I know, it's the only city in the world where you can, right off the skyscraper, you can go catch incredible fish. I mean, the other night I landed right off the plane and went fishing. There's one fly fishing operation in Dubai. I think it's the only fly fishing operation in the whole Middle East. And I think with all the construction in Dubai, it created this man-made reef, and it attracted all these fish, these gorgeous fish. And you can catch like incredible fish just right off the shore of Dubai, which I don't think a lot of people realize that.
Okay, so for For those of us who don't know fly fishing, I'm raising my hand because everybody else in here knows what it is. Explain fly fishing, please.
So fly fishing is, it's a form of fishing where you're not using live bait as the bait. You're using feathers that are tied around a hook to look like, it's called fly fishing because it was founded in England, I believe, and they were made to look like little bugs. And that's what trout eat.
So this is mindful fishing.
Yeah, and it's also, fly fishermen are also usually the ethic is catch and release. So you catch the fish, take a quick photo, keep the fish in the water, and then
let it go.
yeah. But yeah, Dubai is just one of the best places that I know of to go fly fishing. A lot of people don't know that. And there's other things that people in Dubai probably do know. Everybody here knows all about the mountains here in Khaimah, but people in the U.S. definitely don't know that.
Okay.
And the hiking opportunities here are like amazing. And I believe, I don't know this for sure, but I believe it's kind of an up and coming activity or pursuit in the UAE. And the last time I was here last year, I signed up for a hike with a company called UAE Trekkers.
Okay.
And there's some diehard people that are really into hiking here, and I met a group of them, and we went hiking. It was in Ras Al Khaimah. We went to a place called the Shalka Pools, and it was really awesome. It reminds me of a little bit of the United States, the U.S., American Southwest, like Arizona, Utah, desert landscapes that you can hike to. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then, if I could mention one more thing, I know you guys all know this probably, from Dubai, but whenever I stay here in Dubai, I stay down in the historic area, LC, I think it's called. And most Americans, when they think of Dubai, they think of just skyscrapers. But when I show them pictures, when I show my friends back home pictures of the Dubai that I know, it's not the skyscrapers. It's the Alsi historical area, which I think is really, really cool. There's like a couple soups there. It's really interesting.
Amazing. Thank you. All right, we're coming to the last question, so audience, get your questions ready. Any pressing things coming up? You have 3 minutes. 3 minutes. 3 minutes, right? No pressure. Okay, so during your time with Flow, you've had the opportunity to gather news and stories from various strategic partners in Burundi. Other than the one that you mentioned before, Together for Development, could you talk about another project that has left a lasting impression on you?
As I mentioned before, we work with 25 different organizations, and mostly we work with the leaders especially. And they've all left a huge impression on me, but one that up to now sits with all of is called the Harvest Initiative. One of the reasons why I love they have different projects they do, but one of the biggest ones that I love is Karubagi Harvest School. It's a school that is in Rwanda. Rwanda is a province, one of the biggest provinces in Burundi. It's in the center of Burundi. And it's known to be, historically, to be where the kings of Burundi used to be a kingdom. It used to be one of where the kings used to reside. But unfortunately, when, of course, years later, there are also Bantu people. Bantu people are the most marginalized, and also the aboriginals of Burundi. Most of them live or were living in the forest up until maybe 2 or 3 decades ago. They are the most uneducated, the civilization has not yet reached them, but Karuami school was built for them. So 60%, there are 400 children, 60% of those children are of Batwa, and most of them are first generation kids who go to school. Last year, we just graduated the first children at the first class, so we have up to 13th year. and 60% of the students that are from the Baka community. These are kids who are never, their parents have never stepped even into a class, but here they are, they finished secondary school. So having this initiative of Karawabi School has greatly impacted my life. So I think that there is hope to Burundi. There is hope to these the people of before them the battle, but they can now, hope for the future and be included in the population of Burundians. So that's one of the organizations that I'm very, very proud of that you work with them. Yeah.
Amen. I like that. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so now we're going to shift to the audience. So this conversation about mindful mobility, there's been so many things that have come up about mindful traveling, the way that you pack, different destinations to go to. Has this sparked any questions from the audience? And I think what I can do is I can come to you with the mic. Now the pressure is on you. Ready? I'm going to come to you. All right, my co-panelists get ready with your answers.
Being a photographer, when you go around the world and take photographs, in the context of being mindful, if you're taking a landscape and you've got people and locals, you actually don't get them to sign anything, How mindful are you about the people you photograph when you're traveling? I know it's travel photography, but obviously you might be in a jungle or a mountain and take a very local person's shot and then it's a newspaper. How's that work?
That's a good question. I think it's I try and be authentic when I travel, and I always carry business cards with me when I travel, and if I take a photo of people, I either hand out my business card to them, and say, hey, I'll get you this photo, or you can contact me and I'm happy to send it to you, or yeah, basically I try and stay in touch with them and just offer them, something in return.
I think that's a beautiful question because, just thinking about my own self as a traveler, I'm still looking for hands, you all. We can treat this like a classroom. I'll start picking people. But thinking about myself as a traveler, honestly, it's a lot of moments where I have to have that internal conversation about permission. And if people are comfortable, like if there's a group of people, and I think it's just the impact of YouTube, Instagram, oftentimes when you're taking a picture of a person, there could be a whole group of people that haven't given you permission, or exactly what you said, a local community where it's like amazing people in the moment, fishermen, just at a coffee shop drinking coffee, and it's like, I want to capture that picture. But permission is so important, especially with social media, because these are real people, not just, images that are yours, right? Ownership. What if someone does?
I typically ask permission for when I'm taking someone's photo. Not 100% of the time. A lot of times I do street photography where it's just like, boom, I take a picture. But a lot of times I'm asking permission. And I feel like once I get permission from someone, then I can go ahead and take a photo. And then I like I said, I give them my contact information. I let them know what my Instagram is. And I try and get their contact information as well.
Beautiful. And Haley, I'm wondering, since you work for a very global news area, I'll put it on you to describe it. What are ethically, when it comes to photos that are shared, what's the policy for you?
At the National, we very much rely on our photographers and their work. It's their photographs, so we rely on our photographers to have the permission of the person. And I think a lot of it goes back to what you were saying, Andy, about doing your research before you go to a place. If you're traveling to a place where the culture is that perhaps women are cover than maybe taking a photograph. That would definitely be a situation where you would need the permission. Where there may be another country where people are taking TikToks, Instagrams all over the place, and then maybe it's not so important. So I think if we have a portrait image, then we very much need to make sure we have the permission, or that the photographer has the permission of the subject. If it's a crowd shot, then it's a little bit more flexible, I guess. But yeah, it is something that the more people have smartphones and the more social media grows, it's a growing problem, I don't want to say, but it's a growing subject.
Exactly. That's a beautiful way of putting it.
Also, a lot of the magazines I work with, when I submit a story or photos, they want the contact information of the sources. So
To do their follow-up.
yeah, so
Yeah.
so I provide that to the magazine,
That's a great addition.
knowing that they're gonna follow up.
And then Ron says with you, because I know you do a lot of posting to social media, websites, you're creating and capturing the content. What's your practice?
Yes, I also do photography. By collecting story, I collect also their images. So it's hard sometimes to get content, written especially, but of course verbal. That's one of the things that I use. And it's also depending how you are portraying that person. If you put them in a good light and they feel like they are seen, because most of the people who want to be seen. Most of the time, they will take photographs of what I've seen, but of course portray them in a good way, and the images you are taking tell them, oh, this is what I'm going to use the photo for or the story for. Most of the time, the subject will be willing to be taken a photo or a video of. So no need for the audio written content, but yeah, be just mindful and we tell them like, this is where the photo's gonna go. And most of the time, whenever I take a photo, I also show them, look, you look beautiful. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
So most of the time, just talk to the person. Of course, in the crowd, it's a little bit hard, but be mindful of the people that you're taking a photo of. I'm not gonna sell or anything, but it's, show or share a story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You have to respect people, when you're taking photos and when you're out traveling. Last year I was in Tanzania and I went to a fish market and a guy was leading me around the fish market and he said, okay, you can take a photo here, you can take a photo here, you can take a photo here. And then we got to a place, he goes, don't take a photo here. And it was like a big, and in my mind I was like, why not? But you have to respect that. And it was like an auction, they were auctioning fish and it's not worth it. You just have to be honest and you have to be respectful. It's not worth it for one more photo.
Yeah. And maybe it's both, like the combination of respect and consent. Because some people, regardless of what's happening, just making sure that people consent to having their photos captured.
Khaimah.
You said karma?
Yeah, I mean, if you're told that you shouldn't take a photo and then you go ahead and take it, it's not cool. And karma's gonna get it.
Not cool. All right, last opportunity. Questions. I have one more question, a prepared question for my panelists, but audience, where are we? You have another one? Okay, you can get it. All right, and make it good because we're going to end on this question.
No pressure.
Right. The picture of this record, the first picture from where you said, has that been documented? That sounds like an amazing time to be into. These first children that been educated in this one village. Has it been filmed or photo?
Yeah, there are a couple of videos and photos and also the websites. I would love to show. Well, I have business that I just left in the store. I'll show you. There's videos also on YouTube and everywhere. You should see that.
Okay. All right, well, as promised, we're going to end on that question, but before we let's end with some advice. You all, we're so excited and grateful for you to be here on the panel with us. You all have tremendous experience with travel and you know, capturing experiences and just connecting to everything that we've talked today. I have to stop talking. Okay. So last advice, last piece of advice to the audience. What advice can you offer to individuals interested in traveling more ethically and impactfully? So tie it up in a bow in 2 sentences max. All right, Hazy, we're starting with you.
I think I would say go local is my 2 words. Go local.
I think I'm gonna challenge myself with that too.
Yeah, I think wherever you are, if you're booking a tour, book with a local company. Get to know the people who live there. Get to know the indigenous communities. They're the people that know the destination better than anybody else. They'll show it to you in the most unique way. And yeah, so that would be my tip. Go local.
Totally agree with that. For me, I would say embrace the world with love and respect, and it will reward you.
All right, last
I'll end by saying that, like for me here, I'm also new, and just be open to whatever that's there. Don't be judgy. You don't have an image and expect that. So be free, be expectant of anything. Don't come prepared and this is what I'm gonna do, even only that I'm gonna enjoy the moment. So come free spirited, expect whatever, and just expect whatever is gonna happen to you, where you're going. Be open.
thank you so much for joining us for our second speaker panel, speaker series. You all have been great. Thank you.